What's up everybody, RoyalRapids here, and today we're back at it again with another Pokemon Hardcore Nuzlocke. Please see the description below for rules and how I run these Nuzlocks. So today we'll be taking on Pokemon Platinum using only the Poison type, which, not a bad type, pretty good defensive type, but one of the reasons why this is going to be difficult is because this will only yield 7 fully evolved encounters. Those being Roserade, Crobat, Dustox, Gengar, Toxicroak, Drapion, and Tentacruel. So I think this is definitely going to be a pretty difficult challenge, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So when Rowan gives us their starter choice, I like to pick Chimchar, since Piplup eventually evolves into a Steel type, which will be immune to our Poison type moves. Anyways, I catch a Budew as our first encounter, and we decide to name her Hana, and we run into our next encounter, a Zubat, who I, after a little bit of confusion hacks, end up catching and naming Tim. Pretty good start to the run, getting 2 Pokemon early on that'll evolve into great Pokemon later on. I decided to train Hana on Psyduck to get her special attack up, as we need to sweep a lot with her early in the game. And without further ado, let's get into our fight with Barry, the first true rival battle of the game. He leads with a Starly, and we end up having to basically get in a war of attrition with it using Supersonic and Leech Life. It can't really hurt us, we can't really hurt it. So we're basically safe regardless to use whatever we want, and although Leech Life is a bug type move, it does enough damage paired with Supersonic's confusion damage, eventually netting us a long but hard-earned victory after getting growled like a million times. Now, in comes Piplup, and we end up deciding to confuse it, and I'm sorry I had set mode on, or switch mode I mean, because I had to reset because of a bad-natured Budew I got in an earlier run. Nonetheless, we confuse and Leech Life Piplup. Our attack's already so low anyways, it doesn't matter that it was lowered, since Supersonic and Leech Life are low power, low accuracy moves. Anyways, we end up switching in Hana, and a couple Absorbs manage to get the job done after a hit in confusion. He does not heal, and we defeat rival Barry. Well, without further ado, it's time to take on Rourke. We lead with Hana, of course, so it's a Zubat can do, and we decide to set up a Stun Spore after he Stealth Rocks us and Rock Throws us, finally landing it. Then we set up a few Growths and land a big Mega Drain to restore our health back. Out comes Onix, who's also 4 times weak. We tank a Rock Throw and heal almost back up to full. Grow to level 15, which is allowed. And out comes Cranidos. He leers us, so we get hit. That would be pretty bad. Ultimately, he goes down to red HP, heals, and another Mega Drain is enough to get the job done and earn us the first badge. So after heading back to Jubilife, Dawn and I take on a pair of Galactic Grunts who send out a Glameow and a Stunky. Double battles are obviously much harder in the game than single battles, so we end up having Tim come out with her Turtwig. They try to fake us out, but nope, Inner Focus gets us the win. Ultimately, this battle between Tim and Hana, we end up just chipping away enough of their health to get an easy victory without really being in any real danger. Not a bad start to this Nuzlocke whatsoever. So, after finishing the battle up, Professor Rowan decides to lecture us about evolution or whatever, and then after a little bit of training, we finally get Hana to evolve into a Roselia, and now it's time for Commander Mars. She leads with a Zubat, and I lead with my own Zubat. I get pretty lucky. I hit myself in confusion a few times, and we managed to finish it off with a few wing attacks. But now it's time for the big hitter, Perugly, one of the hardest Pokemon to handle in any early game in Pokemon history. We barely tank a Fake Out and survive with a Supersonic to land real quick. Then she goes for a Feint Attack, which we tank pretty easily. Hits itself in confusion. We try to set up the Parafusion hacks, which we do. And then we manage to finish the job with a few Mega Drains. Thanks to Perugly's RNG not being in its favor and it hitting itself in confusion a lot. Very difficult battle usually, but we got out of it pretty easily. So we head into the Eterna Forest, we meet up with Cheryl, and now it's time with our next encounter, a Wurmple. We only had 1 Pokeball left, but we managed to get it in a Heal Ball, and we get very lucky that it does evolve into a Cascoon, and eventually into a Dustox. Eventually, too, Zubat evolves into Golbat, which will be a huge addition for the next gym. And now here we are. We're in Gardenia's gym, and she leads with a Turtwig. We lead a Roxy because I want it to be fancy and do some weird strats with Moonlight and Protect. But this battle ends up being actually pretty annoying to watch because we just whittle down the Turtwig really slowly with a Dustox, just healing with Moonlight and doing damage with Poison Sting before we get the win. In comes Cherim, who lands a Grass Knot, which is absolutely nothing. Roxy's Bug Poison type allows it to wall this entire gym really easily. I just ignored the fact that we had Golbat in the back to make it an easy sweep. Eventually, Roxy gets low, and I click Run for some reason before Moonlighting to heal. We get hit by Leech Seed, so I decide, alright, fine, I'll switch into Tim. And Tim proceeds to absolutely annihilate the rest of this gym, as he also 4 times resists it, but has an actual strong stab move and wing attack, which takes out Roserade in 2 hits, and earns us our second Sinnoh gym badge. finally, we're actually getting to a point in these Nuzlockes where they're actually pretty easy. We have really good encounters early on, and we've been able to get through these early game battles without much trouble at all. And as we get to the old chateau, and after running around a little bit, we pick up our next encounter, a Ghastly, which will be massive for this run. Gengar is a ridiculously overpowered Pokemon, can learn a lot of good moves like Psychic, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, and he's a welcome addition to the team. Crobat gets max happiness and evolves, and then we decide to teach Thief to Ghastly to Thief Poison Barbs off Badu. And a Poison run should be pretty helpful, not gonna lie. And we head into the chateau to pick up the Dread Plate, and we almost actually lose our Ghastly to a random Galactic Grunt. That would have been awful. I would have to reset, and that would have sucked. Tim ends up sweeping the rest of the Galactic Grunt, but I still got to be more careful. Nonetheless, it's time with a very tough battle against Commander Jupiter. She leads with a Zubat, and I go with Hana to paralyze it with Sunspore. I then end up switching into Tim and take it out with a couple wing attacks. Not a bad start to this fight, but the real heavy hitters in the back, Skuntank. This Skuntank might even be worse than Mars's Perugly, if that's even possible. I confuse it right away and take it out with a few wing attacks. Really not that bad. Crobat's really OP to have this early in the game, and we take out Commander Jupiter with relative ease. So yeah, having a Crobat, a little OP, but hey, with only 7 encounters, you gotta be OP sometimes. After taking a quick detour to pick up Earthquake and Wayward Cave, Dawn gives us the Versus Seeker, which should be really useful in this run, as it'll allow us to take on trainers, get money, get experience. After a little bit of grinding, Gary evolves into a Haunter, and now it's time to take on Fantina. I had a special strategy for this gym, as it's known to be a very difficult one in Nuzlockes. I lead with Hana and set up a few growths, having a berry on me to heal the burn from Will-O-Wisp so that I won't take residual damage, and then proceeding to take out Duskull with a single Mega Drain. In comes Haunter, and although it resists Mega Drain, we still one-shot it with it. And now out comes the big hitter, Miss Magius. Hits a Confuse Ray on us, and we hit ourselves in confusion. I then decide it's not safe to stay in, as it has Psybeam, and we'd easily go down in one hit to that. So we go into Tim, who tanks a Psybeam pretty well, as it is a fully evolved Pokemon this early in the game. Tanks the second one, we flinch Smagius with a bite, she heals with a Super Potion, 2 more bites get the job done, and just like that, we easily have a 3rd gym badge. Our Pokemon selection at this point has actually been really good, and just like that, we already have 3 badges. Now it's time for another rival battle with Barry, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat this one. It was a complete sweep with Tim the Crobat. We did nothing. He confused and wing attacked them all to death, as they were completely helpless at the hand of this purple bat. We went to Salacion Ruins, pick up the Mind Plate, which we decided to give to Roxy, as she is our only Psychic-type user. Her main attacking move is Psybeam, and now it's time for Maylene. Bit of a rapid-fire section in the gym. She leads with Meditite, and I lead with Tim, who, once again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, another Crobat sweep. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing this, but like I said, with only 7 possible encounters in this run, we can't afford to lose anyone. And the fact that we got a Crobat this early in the game, which is ridiculously fast and powerful, also paired with good confusion hacks, allows us to pretty much annihilate her entire team and get the Cobble badge. I mean, I do love me some Crobat, not going to lie. If a flying challenge ever comes, you know I'm picking up a Crobat. Now Dawn and I decide to take on a few Galactic Grunts once again. This was a pretty simple battle. I like to show these double battles because they are difficult, and if you don't plan for them properly, they can lead to bad things happening. We end up picking up HMO2 Fly in the process and teaching it to Tim. Although not the best move, pretty solid, and now it's Safari Zone time. I hate the Safari Zone. But we get our next encounter here being a Skorupi. I'm really glad I managed to catch this because Pokemon in the Safari Zone are really annoying to catch. But we managed to get Skorupi, who should be really key later in the run, and we nickname her Venom. Then on Route 212, we get our not final encounter, but close to it, our 6th encounter, as we get a Krogunk, and we decide to name him Ron. I then head over to the game corner to try to pick up myself a TM for Thunderbolt after grinding a lot on Rich Trainers with the Versus Seeker to teach Thunderbolt to Gary. Now it's Barry time. He leads with Staravia, we lead with Gary, who now has Thunderbolt, and Staravia becomes toast. Out comes Prinplup, and it suffers the same fate going out into red, but bringing Gary down a little bit low, so we like to switch into Hana. Hana decides to hit a Giga Drain to get the victory, and now out comes Ponyta. Obviously a bad matchup, so we decide to switch right over to Tim. Tim comes out and goes for a quick fly, which comes down and brings it to below half. Once again, Ponyta misses the stomp since we're in the air, and we land one more fly. Ron wants to learn Sucker Punch, and we teach it to him. Fine, good to have a priority move. Out comes Roselia, which, as per usual in this run, gets annihilated by one fly. And just like that, we destroy Barry once again. Now it's time for Crasher Wake. This was another battle I had to strategize heavily for. We lead with Gary, who the only reason I bought Thunderbolt for was for this Gyarados. We one-shot it easily. Out comes Floatzel. I end up switching into Hana for this one, although that is dangerous because this Floatzel has Ice Fang. We'll see how that matters in the future. We get crunched, but our Citrus Berry heals us above half. We end up hitting a Giga Drain, which does a decent amount of damage, and he misses an Ice Fang, and we crit the next Giga Drain. Quagsire obviously goes down in one hit, but we got so lucky for Hana to survive that battle, as if he had an Ice Fang, we may have been dead meat, and that would not have been good, as she's our only Grass-type hitter, basically one of our only options against Rock types. After chasing this Galactic Grunt around, we like to have a Crobat v Crobat Ditto with him because that's fun. And obviously I win, otherwise I would have just reset because like I said, I need to have at least 6 Pokemon going into the league. And then I totally legitimately trade Gary to get myself a Gengar and use a Secret Potion on the Psyduck to advance forward and get our way over to Celestic Town. Cyrus then decides to babble about a bunch of random stuff about how he hates the world and how he wants to reset it and how we better agree with him. I think Cyrus uses Reddit low-key because that's the kind of vibes he gives me. Nonetheless, he's like, am I wrong? I'm like, yep. And he's like, alright, let's fight. He leads with Sneasel, I lead with Ron. Ron's able to take a hit from Sneasel, barely hanging on and firing back a big revenge to get the KO. We then have to switch out, obviously, as Ron's only at 9 HP and go into Tim, who tanks a bite, flies up, takes it a little bit above half, surprisingly. And we end up hitting ourselves in confusion, not landing the fly. We then confuse the Golbat, and one more fly gets the job done as it was below half due to confusion damage. And out comes his last Pokemon, Murkrow. We fly up, fly back down, it heals itself above half. And we hit one more fly to get the victory. Pretty easy victory. Once again, another Crobat sweep. I love Crobat so much. Such a great Pokemon. Now, using the Repel trick, we're able to get a really lucky encounter getting ourselves a level 36 Tentacruel. By putting a high-level Pokemon in front and just putting on a Repel, we get rid of all the low-level Tentacool encounters and manage to get ourselves a big, powerful Tentacruel. We put Roxy in the box. Thank you for your service, Roxy. You didn't really do a whole lot. But nonetheless, here it is. It's berry time. It's Staravia evolved, but it doesn't matter. It still goes down in one hit to a Thunderbolt. Out comes Heracross. We decided to stay in and hit a Shadow Ball, but it's a massive Night Slash to bring us down to 9 HP. I think a second Shadow Ball could kill, but regardless, we like to switch out of that and go into Tim, as Heracross is 4 times weak to flying, and he gets annihilated by a quick fly. Out comes Rapidash. He finally evolved his Ponytaz. He had actually a big evolution moment in between his last 2 fights. Unless we confuse it, it snaps out instantly. We get Tail Whip, but 2 flies get the job done, bringing out Empoleon. Now, he's immune to Poison-type moves, not that we really have a whole lot. He's also not weak to Grass anymore, which is why I switch into Hana. Get brought down below half by Metal Claw, I have to switch into Jelly. It's Jelly's second battle, as she goes for a quick Surf. Doesn't really do anything. I just have to bury her for whatever reason. I get Aerial Ace again. I know I can tank these attacks and try to whittle it down. I would have been dead to crit there, but I wasn't dead to crit, so I guess we can live with it. And we go into Tim. Tim takes an Aerial Ace like it's nothing, fires off a Confuse Ray, and I swear to God, Tim is like the confusion god. Other Pokemon always hit themselves in confusion when he's out there. 4 straight hits in confusion by Empoleon take it down, and Roserade gets flied, just like always. It'll never escape that fate. Venom has the EXP share on it as it's really weak, and it gets to learn Bug Bite after going to level 34, and just like that, Barry loses another Nuzlocke. Anyways, we decided to sail out to Iron Island, which one of my favorite locations in all of Pokemon, to be honest with you. Very cool place. You know, you actually get a useful partner, and this guy Riley right here gives us HM04 Strength. Actually a pretty solid move. We meet up with him, decide to team up with him, and then we go to take on some Galactic Grunts in another double battle. I feel like there's kind of a lot of those in this game. This is already the 3rd or 4th one, I want to say. Unless Lucario is actually really OP at this point in the game, as it's level 41 and it knows Force Palm. So unlike you in other areas where you have Mira or Cheryl and you have to carry their bad Pokemon throughout the area, Riley pretty much carries you, as his Lucario is actually ridiculously good as Force Palm, Quick Attack, does a lot of damage, and actually pretty much helps you destroy everybody. He breaks through his confusion like a boss, quick attacks that Golbat. We fly up, fly back down on that Stunky, destroying it. He breaks through confusion, Force Palms the Houndour. Out comes one last Zubat, and we have a triple Zubat on our side. Breaks through confusion again, tanks an Air Cutter, and man, this Lucario is awesome. Nonetheless, at the end of the cave, we pick up the Shiny Stones. We can finally evolve Hana into Roserade, and finally get our starter to its final form. That should give her a big power boost. Nonetheless, we go to sail over near Floroma Town now that we have Surf, pick up the Electrolyzer, and also a second TM for Thunderbolt. I would have just done that if it wasn't for Crash or Wake. After going to the Fuego Iron Rush, we pick up a Star Piece, and we're able to trade that in for Shards, which we could use for the Move Tutor later on. And also get the TM for Flamethrower, which sadly no one can learn. After a quick battle, Ron evolves into Toxicroak, and it's time to take on Gym Leader Byron. He leads with Magneton, I lead off with Ron, who tanks a Thunderbolt before firing back with a Revenge for the KO. 120 power when you get hit in the same attack. Nonetheless, we have to switch out. since we're only at 32 HP, and Tim tanks a flash cannon like nobody's business, fires off a Confuse Ray, and of course Steelix hits itself in confusion. What else would it do? Then notice it has Ice Fang, and it actually hits one. We're down to 49 HP. I think we may have been able to take another one. Not crit, obviously, but nonetheless, we switch in Jelly, who can take Ice Fangs like nobody's business, and fire off one Surf to take out the Steelix. Last but not least is Bastiodon. This is a defensive monster, but nonetheless, we have Jelly, who tanks a Stone Edge, and hits a crit Surf to get the win. If he had another Stone Edge, we were dead, but hey, we weren't dead, so let's not live with what could have happened, and let's live with what did happen. Nonetheless, we're in the library, but like, bruh, who read? I know I sure as hell don't. Nonetheless, while we're in the library, Team Galactic decides to bomb Lake Valor for some reason. Why do they bomb Lake Valor? I'm not really sure, but I guess we'll find out in a little bit. Nonetheless, we head over to Lake Valor, and we had to take on Commander Saturn, the last of the commanders that we have yet to face. Nonetheless, he leads off with a Golbat, and we lead off with Gary. Gary fires off a Thunderbolt, but it does not quite kill as we get Supersonic. Nonetheless, we break through confusion, hit another Thunderbolt to get the KO. Out comes Bronzor. Now this thing only has one weakness, and it's Fire. We can't learn any Fire moves. Nonetheless, take it out with 2 Shadow Balls, and out comes Toxicroak. We switch into Tim, who can hit him with a super effective Fly, which does way below half down to the red. He heals with a Citrus Berry, but one more Fly is enough, and down goes Commander Saturn. Very easy battle. Now, after fighting another Galactic Grind at Lake Verity, Venom evolves into a Drapion. Still is a bad moveset, but it should be very popular. Nonetheless, here is a Mars. Another fight against her. She leads with the Golbat, we lead up with Gary. Same drill, Thunderbolt. It does not live. It bites us. We go to below half. We hit one more Thunderbolt, get the win. Now, in comes Bronzor. We hit it with a Shadow Ball. Or, we don't hit it with a Shadow Ball, actually. My script was wrong. We switch into Venom, and then we decide to Bug Bite it. Sets up Iron defensive, then I said to Acupressure to try to get good stat boost, unless we keep getting like evasiveness and defense instead of getting attack like I want. Hey, I guess no one's going to be able to hit us, but not that it matters if we can't do any damage with this Bronzor Iron defensing. We get special attack, evasiveness, defense. We're finally getting attack, firing off a few Bug Bites, which still do nothing, but a crit Bug Bite gets us the KO. Out comes Perugly, who fakes us out. Feint attacks us, but one crit Poison Fang gets us the KO on Perugly, and that was a relatively painless fight. I mean, it was long because I couldn't get the right Acupressure boost, but once we did, we were able to take out Bronzor and Perugly fairly easily. Now Rowan's like, hey, go to Lake Equity, and when we're heading to Lake Equity, we're in one of our favorite areas in the Sinnoh region. I actually love this area a lot. It's really cool. We're on the HM for Rock Climb. This guy's like, hey, you know what? You can have it, and he gives us the Icicle Plate, which I don't need because I already have the Never Melt Ice, unless I do an Ice Run. I end up going to Orberg Gate to pick up the TM for Brick Break, because I wanted to teach that to Ron. That's his only fighting type move he learns by level up is Revenge, which, yeah, good move, but although it is 120 power when you get hit, it's only 60 power regularly, and I figured I'd split the difference, get an 80 power move. Anyways, it is Candace time. I was terrified of this battle, to be honest with you. I don't have much good against ice types. Ron tanks a hit from Slash and fires off a Brick Break for the KO. We anticipate an Earthquake, so we switch into Gary, who has Levitate to tank the Earthquake, fire off a Shadow Ball, take a Stone Edge surprisingly well, and fire back with another Shadow Ball for the KO. I did the calc, so I knew I would outspeed. One Shadow Ball takes down Frostlass, and that just leaves Mr. Abomasnow. We end up switching into Venom and landing a few super effective Bug Bites to get a fairly easy win over Candace. I was terrified of this fight as I had nothing good, but ultimately, Gengar being able to outspeed Frostlass was key, as Frostlass could have easily swept our team if that wasn't the case. But Gengar outsped Frostlass as they do have the same base speed, mine was just better EV trained, and we have received the Icicle Badge. One of the scariest battles in the game is now over, and we've gone deathless. After seeing that Barry sucks, because he can't even beat Jupiter, like, come on, bro, you've lost to Nuzlocke how many times now? You just wiped again to Jupiter, like, bro, you are actually trash. And you get the TM for Ice Beam, which, very, very useful. If you know who the champion is, and you know what her ace Pokemon is, you know that Ice Beam's useful. And we end up picking up the TM for Sludge Bomb in the Galactic Hideout and teaching that to Hana, as her only attacking move for the longest time has been Giga Drain. We elect to replace Growth, so we finally have 2 stab attacking moves to use on Hana, instead of just one. Now, another cool part in the game, I think, this Cyrus speech in the Galactic HQ. I thought this was pretty cool, him giving his grunts a speech on what he wants to do. He goes and babbles about whatever, he hates the world. I don't really care, honestly. I think it's a cool moment. And then we head upstairs to face him for the second time in this run. Now, Cyrus is a pretty scary guy to face sometimes, I'm not even going to lie. But nonetheless, here we are. He leads off with a Sneasel. We lead with Ron. You know, typical Sneasel moment. He screeches us and we Brick Break him down in one hit as he's 4 times weak to it. Out comes Crobat. We obviously have to switch into Jelly. Jelly has the Never Melt Ice equipped. as she's able to take a bite and fire off 2 ice beams to take out the Crobat. Last but not least, out comes Honchkrow, also weak to ice beam, and Jelly's tanky enough to take enough hits, take a drill peck down to 4 HP, fire back with an ice beam, and get a fairly easy win over Cyrus. He babbles around more, gives us the Master Ball for some reason, which is nice. I'm not going to be using it, but he's like, alright, go to the Warp Panel. And then we decided to take on Cyrus for the second time. Cyrus is the only, not Cyrus, I'm sorry, Saturn. Anyways, we leave with Gary, who fires a Thunderbolt. Wow, it actually killed the Golbat this time, so we got a crit. Out comes Bronzor, you know the drill. Shadow Ball, take an extra sensory, fire back with one more Shadow Ball, and now it's Toxicroak. We decided to switch over to our good old trusty friend Jelly this time, instead of the usual Tim, and we decided to fire off a few ice beams, taking a few feint attacks in the process. He heals above half of the Citrus Berry, and we decided to switch over to our good old friend Tim, and you already know the drill at this point. Take an X-Factor, and down goes Toxicroak to 1 fly. Cyrus is like, hey, if you're so tough, why don't you free him? So I'm like, alright, I'll free him. Why not? And now it's time for one of the penultimate battles of this game, the double battle with Mars and Jupiter atop Spear Pillar. This is far from an easy battle, as they have 2 Bronzors, 2 Golbats, and obviously their key Skuntank and Perugly. I decided to go for Acupressure boosts early in this fight to see if I can get to like +6 everything. Then this didn't really work, as Bronzors are really tanky, and we have a really bad moveset, with Bug Bite and Poison Fang being 60 power, 50 power, only attacking moves in Rock Clown, which I'm almost out of PP on. Nonetheless, there's a war of attrition. Barry leads with a Munchlax for some reason, which sucks. Like, how did you raise this thing to level 40 and not hit max happiness? Do you, like, beat this thing every day so it hates you? Like, come on, man. Just get a Snorlax already. Finally, the Bronzors take out Munchlax, and something actually useful, and Rapidash comes out. I wish the AI would switch in situations like this. But a Fire Blast takes out the Bronzor. We take an extra sentry like it's nothing, and out comes Skuntank. We rock climb the Skuntank, it does nothing, sadly, but one Fire Blast takes out the other Bronzor. We take a Flamethrower, like it's not even there. We hit our final rock climb on Skuntank, which heals up more of the damage than it took, using the Citrus Berry. We pretty much have nothing to do here with Tim, so we elect to switch out and go right over to Ron. Ron has super effective hits on both these Pokemon, tanks a Poison Jab, like it didn't even happen, and fires back with a big Brick Break, bringing Perugly down to the red, healing it back into the yellow with its Citrus Berry. Down goes Heracross to a Flamethrower, and out comes Staraptor. Staraptor, another very good Pokemon on his team that he always leads with, but doesn't lead with this time. We Brick Break down the Skuntank, taking it down just to our final 2 Golbats. We then decide to switch into Jelly, so we can fire off some clutch, super effective ice beams with the Never Melt Ice. Typically, I would go Gengar here, but I was afraid of getting double bited and KO'd. Down goes Staraptor, but he still has Empoleon. Empoleon, very good Pokemon to have out. Finish out the Golbat with an Ice Beam. Empoleon has Giga Drained for nothing. Metal Claws the Golbat. An Ice Spring brings it down into the red. We get Mean Look, not that it matters. He swaggers it for some reason, and he fires off one more Aqua Jet to get the win over Mars and Jupiter. And now for another really cool moment in this game. I just really love this game. What can I say? It's by far my favorite Pokemon game. Here's Cyrus. Brings out the red chain and summons Dialga and Palkia. Now Dialga and Palkia are like, hey, what the hell are you doing, bruh? And I'm like, I don't know, bruh. Like, I don't know, man. And the Lake Trio is like, hey, what the hell is happening? Well, thanks for freeing us. And I'm like, well, you're welcome, Lake Trio. That's always a good thing to do. I like freeing people. Hashtag free the homies. You know what I mean? And then suddenly, out of the ground, Giratina emerges from the shadows and just swallows Cyrus whole. Obviously, I won't show this in every Hardcore Nuzlocke, but this is my first Platinum one. I wanted to point out how much I love this part of the game, and proves one of many reasons why Platinum is just so much better than Diamond and Pearl. Diamond and Pearl, obviously a very decent game, would be technically easier to do a challenge in, but moments like this make Platinum just so much better. After diving into the portal, we enter the Distortion World, which, although is a little bit annoying, we have to solve puzzles with Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. If you know your way around, it's really not horrible. After sailing down the upside-down waterfall, we manage to reach the end of this place for probably the hardest battle in the entire run, including the Elite Four and Champion. I really don't think that any battle is going to be harder than the Elite Four and Champion battles, besides this one right here. And nonetheless, here we are versus Cyrus in the Distortion World. He leads off with his trusty Houndoom. We lead Jelly. Jelly fires off a Surf to bring him below half, and we take a Thunder Fang. We can't take one more, but we outspeed and land a Surf for the KO. Out comes Honchkrow. We fire off an Ice Beam, but we had to sack Jelly here. That was my strategy for this fight. I had to get a clean switch into Gary to outspeed and hit a Thunderbolt. We weren't going to be able to take a Drill Peck from this Honchkrow. Unless out comes Weavile. We switch into Ron. Ron tanks an Ice Punch like nobody's business and lands a big Brick Break for the one-hit KO. Out comes Gyarados. Now, I thought I might have had to sacrifice Ron, but I predicted an Earthquake, which he does go for, it's super effective, and fire back with a 4 times effective Thunderbolt for the KO. Crobat now. Air slashes us, we flinch and get confused. Probably the worst RNG we could have hoped for, as we got flinched twice and hit ourselves in confusion once, forcing us to switch. Threw a complete wrench in our plans. We have to go into Venom. Venom acupressures, and then it gets a Poison Fang for like 1 damage, barely hanging on with 1 HP. That was such a stupid play. We switch into our own Crobat, confuse him, and it just becomes a Crobat v Crobat war of attrition. His is slightly higher leveled than ours, but we managed to get some good confusion luck, land a few clutch flies, and tank a Cross Poison with 2 HP to finish out the Crobat and earn us our victory over Galactic Boss Cyrus. Sucks we had to lose a team member, but nonetheless, we got to put Jelly back in, pick back up Roxy, and move forward. At least we still have 6 Pokemon. We could afford to lose 1, and this was the point I had to do it. Very difficult battle. I'd say probably harder than an Elite Four battle since he's multi-type. The only harder battle I'd say probably the champion. Anyways, we go to face Giratina. I have no interest in fighting this thing. I just run away. And it leads us to, once again, another one of my favorite areas in Pokemon. Cyrus is like, hey, you know, I'm fine with living in hell, bro. I'm just going to chill here in the Distortion World. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And Cynthia and I headed back through the portal to send off Spring. Very nice place. Kind of a hidden place on the side near Hearthome City. And we have to deposit Jelly into the PC. Rest in peace, Jelly. Take a Never Melt Ice off of her, which we can't give to anyone else. And we gotta move on, though. It's time to face Volkner. Volkner leads with a Jolteon, and I lead with Hana to set up 2 layers of Toxic Spikes after paralyzing him with a Sun Spore, which we can't do because we get Poison Point. That's the part that sucks about Poison Point. Sometimes you want to paralyze or sleep, and you can't. So we hang on from 2 Iron Tails to fire back with back-to-back Toxic Spikes, which will make the rest of his team take Toxic damage. We switch into Ron, who has Mud Bomb and the Soft Sand equipped. After taking a Charge Beam, we miss a Mud Bomb, but he misses a Charge Beam, and we fire back with 1 more Mud to take him out. Now it comes Electivire, who we fire a Mud Bomb, takes him a little bit above half. Poison damage brings him below half, but we decided to switch out to stay safe and go into Venom. I taught Venom the TM for Earthquake we got earlier in the game, and she fires a big Earthquake to take Electivire down to red health. Poison finishes it off. Was the poison necessary? Seems like it here. Raichu, down in 1 hit. And out comes Luxray. Luxray gets Toxic Poisoned. We fire off an Earthquake, which brings it below half. He misses a Thunder Fang. Poison damage is a good amount of damage, and we take it out with 1 more Earthquake, earning us $6,000 in our final badge. 8 badges acquired, and now it's Pokemon League time, but not quite, because Barry decides to challenge us. He leads with the Staraptor, we lead with Gary. Once again, 1 shot. I'm sorry, Staraptor, maybe you'll do something in another run. Not this run, though, because you suck. And Empoleon comes out, hits us with a Shadow Claw, we tank it. 1 more Thunderbolt gets the job done. And out comes the heavy hitter, Roserade. Nah, I'm just kidding. Roserade ain't no heavy hitter. 1 fly gets the job done. You have done nothing in this run, Roserade. I'm sorry. So now, the real heavy hitter, Snorlax. We confuse it, hit itself in confusion because people really be getting confused when they see a Crobat that's that good. And we come out, hit a Brick Break. It brings it into the red. Hits us with an Earthquake. We tank it. He elects not to heal, and we fire back with a Brick Break for the KO. Out comes Rapidash. We have to switch. Obviously, we're not going to finish it out in 1 hit. We don't have any super effective moves that are high power. Switch into Venom. He decides to bounce. And I go for Earthquake, which I thought we wouldn't outspeed, but we did. Paralyzes us with the bounce. We take a Fire Blast barely and hit a massive Earthquake, take it down to red health. We have to switch, though, because we're only at 5 HP and we're paralyzed, so we'd obviously go down. We go into Tim. He bounces up. We fly. We time it correctly so that we come down right after he comes down. Get the KO. Heracross, 4 times weak to flying, goes for a Rock Slide, misses it, and we get our final win over Barry. Barry really sucks. We beat him so many times deathless. I decided to go spend the rest of my money to get a few more TMs. I ended up getting the TM for Swords Dance and Substitute, so I'm sure you can see where this is going if you played Pokemon before. Let's look over our team one final time. We've got them all up to level 59, the level cap of Lucian's Gallade, and I have a good feeling about this, honestly. I think we have 6 very good Pokemon. Even Dustox with Toxic and Protect should be useful. And it's time to take on the Elite Four. Now we're up against Bug Trainer Aaron. Aaron decides to lead with a Yan Mega who has speed boost, and we decide to lead with Tim, who looks like a good choice, but with the stupid double teaming Yan Mega, we cannot hit any attacks. We had a Poison Fang, which gets the toxic poison off, which is really clutch, because if we can get some form of damage through that and confusion, because Lord knows we ain't hitting no flies with its 6 double teams up. We missed 3 flies in this fight, but ultimately the poison damage takes it out. Out comes Drapion, is only non-bug type, and I've also a bug type though, so I'll give it a pass. We fire off a Confuse Ray, and then elect to switch right over into our own Drapion, because we have Earthquake. Hit the Sylvan Confusion again, as we have the best Confusion, like, in the world. We set up 2 Swords Dances, tanking a couple X Scissors because we knew we could. Fire off an Earthquake, it one-shots Drapion, out comes Heracross. I stupidly click Crunch, but he misses Stone Edge. That would have been pretty bad if he landed it. Vespiquen comes out, a Cross Poison one-shots it, would have one-shotted Heracross too. Last but not least is Scizor, who goes out in 1 Earthquake. Yeah, good thing we didn't lose Venom in the times we almost lost her early in the run, because she is a massive key member of this Elite Four battles. Now it's time for Ground Trainer Bertha. We lead with Hana, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Complete sweep. With the Big Root as well, we heal back pretty much all damage that we take. So even though Glasgow fires off an Earthquake, we Mega Drain, get back almost up to full HP, Mega Drain again, get back above half. Out comes Golem. Golem goes down in 1 Giga Drain. And just like that, it's like we never fought at all, because Golem and Rhyperior are both 4 times weak. Get one-shotted. Hippowdon, pretty tanky Pokemon. We take it down into the red. It Earthquakes us. She decides to heal back to full. We Giga Drain it again, down into the red. We get buffeted by the Sandstorm. She doesn't heal. She gives up, and very easy victory over Ground Trainer Bertha, earning us the right to take on Fire Trainer Flint. Now, Flint in Diamond and Pearl was not a Fire Trainer. He was just he had a Steelix and a Lopunny, but whatever, we can forget about that. We end up with Tim. We fire off a Confuse Ray and decide to Poison Fang it, hoping we get the poison off, which we do. Although he is going to full restore because this is the Elite Four. Tries to see if we can get it again. We do not. He hits up a Sunny Day, which is actually pretty bad. 3 Poison Fangs eventually get the job done, and out comes Magmortar. We confuse the Magmortar, hope to get good luck. But in the strong sunlight, a Flamethrower from this Magmortar is going to hit hard. A Fly brings it down into the red, but it retaliates with a big Flamethrower, bringing us below half. Misses a Thunderbolt, thank God, and we fire it out to get the KO. Out comes Infernape, and I thought Fly would one-hit KO, but it did not. And we get our second death of the run, losing Tim. Infernape obviously goes down for the recoil from Flare Blitz. It must have hung on with literally 1 HP. That's very sad. Out comes Flareon. We fire off an Earthquake with Venom, which brings it into the low. It hits a big overheat, but nonetheless, heals up to full. We fire back with 1 big Earthquake, bring it down into the red, and we outspeed with a Crunch for the KO. Last but not least is Rapidash, so we have to switch out since Venom's at very low health. We switch out into Gary. Gary tanks a Flare Blitz, and I'm like, can I one-hit KO? I can. Good job me doing the calculations to one-hit KO that Rapidash with a Shadow Ball. Last but not least is Lucian, and yeah, I hate to do this to you once again, but for the second time this Elite Four, it's a sweep. We one-shot Mr. Rhyme with Crunch, out comes Bronzong. I know I can set up against this thing because it doesn't really have much attacking power. I set up a Swords Dance. A Crunch brings it below half, it Calm Minds, 1 more Crunch gets the job done. We go to level 60 in the process. Alakazam is a weakling. We take it down in 1 Earthquake for some reason. Crunch would have O-code too. We go for Earthquake on Espeon. Why? Crunch would have O-code, but we decided not to for some reason. It heals, and we Crunch to O-ko. Last but not least is Gallade, who neutral to Crunch, but we O-ko with it, and just like that, it's time to take on Champion Cynthia. Now, I didn't really want to do this, but I had to resort to doing it because there's no way we were going to be able to take out Cynthia's Garchomp without using this strategy. I decided to teach Substitute to Venom so I could successfully set up Swords Dances on Spiritomb and try to get through the rest of her team. Now, was I successful? Let's find out. Here we are versus Cynthia. She does Spiritomb, the perfect Pokemon to set up on. It's more of a tanky support mon, so it can't do much damage. Unless it hits crits, but Dark Pulse and Shadow Ball is not going to do much to us as we get down to 62 HP. Just enough to set up a Substitute. Dark Pulse does not break it. We Crunch Spiritomb to take it down in 1 hit, and out comes the big hitter, Garchomp. We take a Flamethrower to the Substitute. We fire back with Crunch, and it O-Kos. That's our biggest challenge out of the way. Out comes Milotic. 1 Earthquake gets the job done. Then comes in Togekiss. 1 Crunch gets the job done. Wouldn't have if this was Gen 6 or above. Lucario, I bait the extreme speed, switch into Gary, it's immune to it, and fire off 1 Focus Blast for the win. Last but not least is Roserade, our final Pokemon. Now, I would have loved to fly this thing in 1 hit. We fire off a Shadow Ball, it does below half. We take an extra Sensory, and 1 more Shadow Ball makes us the champion of Sinnoh. So the question is, can I beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Platinum? The answer is yes. I can beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Platinum. I feel like I did an actually pretty excellent job in this run managing my team members. I only had 7 of them, and I only had 2 deaths, finishing with 5 of them. Hana, Roxy, Gary, Venom, and Ron survived to the end. Tim would have if I got a high roll on that fly. But once again, I really want to thank you guys for watching. I'm really blown away with the support on the recent videos. The Sapphire Water Nuzlocke, the Heart Gold Normal Nuzlocke, and I think this Platinum Hardcore Nuzlocke was the best of them all. I think we've had an improvement every video we've made, and I'm really excited to see where I can go forward with these Hardcore Nuzlocke challenges. Now, will I stick to Hardcore Nuzlockes? I don't know. I think I might mix in some solo runs again, maybe some Minecraft. I don't know, man. I'm really blown away with the amount this channel's growing. I gained like 20 subscribers in the last week, which might not seem like a lot, but for a very small channel like me that's been uploading on and off for like 10 years, you won't believe how blown away I am for the support on these last 2 videos. And once again, I know I say ultimately a lot as well. I really try to tone that down. I wrote a script for this video trying to cut the word ultimately out completely. I tend to ad-lib a bit though nonetheless, so I think a few ultimately's may have gotten out there, and I'm sorry for that, but regardless of all that, I really hope you guys enjoyed. I'd love to hear suggestions in the comments below on what I can do next, and I'll see you guys in whatever I decide to do next. Goodbye.